the issue that's really roiling the Republican Party, which is what is it to be a Republican? What does that mean right now? And of course, there's a fight. I mean, it is a fight. I mean, I'm out there. Of course, in the orbit I'm in, there's a lot of receptiveness to the national concept, the national sovereignty concept. I run into some people from time to time, all the time, that want to criticize that or attack that. But there seems to me to be a growing sentiment amongst at least the people that are participating that I touch, a growing backbone about change. Do you see that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I always think that it's interesting how people sometimes forget, like right now, we are human beings. And what I mean by that is like, we're not new to the game. Our current iteration of our society, of our culture, there have been hundreds, if not thousands, of prior civilizations and cultures. And you go kind of through the same pains of like your culture expands this way, you make this move, there's a tendency to go this way. And so, what I've come to realize, if you look back through just American history, you're going to have changes in the political sentiment of the people. And that is what has happened, especially with President Trump. Like, I like to always go back and say, President Trump is an avatar. He represented what people wanted to see after Obama, after the Bushes, because there was just something that the people were no longer feeling they were getting of value out of their government. They weren't liking the forever war. They didn't like the idea that we're going around trying to be the world's police. And now you have President Trump who stands up, who going back to the invasion of Iraq, said, I'm against this. And so that to me, people just have to take that perspective, like take a step back and realize that this is what is naturally going to happen. And through that natural turning, right? Talk about like Strauss-Howe's generational theory, and they talk about like nation states going against each other. But I think on a micro level, you still have the same type of thing that happens within different political organizations. Where if you remember back in the United States, prior to Reagan, you had more of like this libertarian conservative kind of value system. And then you had this infusion of a bunch of former Democrats and liberals that created kind of this neocon party, and it served its purpose. You know, if you want to say try and have some fiscal responsibility, but not really. But on paper, you say, oh, we're going to try and be fiscally responsible. But that we have this imperative as the United States to go across the globe and to establish stable democracies. That forever war experiment ran its course in the populace of the American people. And you started to have people on the right that said, I don't agree with doing this thing. Now, I know this is just one specific issue, but I think it's a big issue.
Well, it's definitely one of the biggest.